lot of cool things that happened in this book that I attributed to Tower of Swallows. So,
hello and welcome back to the live. This is the Baptism of Fire. I am JR Carrel, the author of the More Than Human novels. If you're just randomly popping on here and don't know that, and over here we have my fellow author JCM Byrne. Say hello to all your fans out there, Joe.
Hi, JCM Byrne. You've been promoting a lot, so all my books are like right next to me.
Absolutely, man. You still haven't got the official paperback on that yet, or?
No, I really should. I should buy a bunch and send some out and sign them and stuff, but I haven't. I still haven't sent hardcovers, like signed books of partial Shadow of Hyperion. That came out in like September, and that's really that's bad. Like that's not okay.
Yeah, the weird thing about my hardcovers is I don't know where most of them are. Like these are all paperbacks up here. I have hardcovers somewhere in here, and then we have the man, the myth, the warlock in rounding us out here. So, Joe, what were you expecting coming into Baptism of Fire after our last encounter here?
I think I was expecting more Ciri than I got. Like more time with the rats. Yeah. Because we got some time with the rats, but it wasn't a lot. It was like, it wasn't like a third of the book of rat stuff.
Yeah.
2 scenes and that's it.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Because again, I said like coming into Baptisms of Fire, this is where I'm like, I'm not because I've read these twice, but it's been years, so I wasn't sure what we were getting here. And I think just like Nathan said, I think some of this I was attributing to the next. Like I'm like, yeah, I was expecting more Ciri, more rats, more more in that area.
In a way, not a lot happened, right? Like if you could describe this book, it's the Witcher tries to go after Ciri and doesn't get there.
Yeah,
that's the whole book.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. Like I felt so weird reading this book because I enjoyed it more than the previous book.
Yeah, I liked it.
But like you said, it doesn't seem like there was a ton of stuff going on in this book.
I'm gonna go
like,
further.
Why did I like this book so much?
Right. So, yeah, the book can be summed up, in my opinion, as Geralt fails, but he does it in style.
But it really felt like a middle book, right?
Yeah.
There was stuff happening, like there were characters introduced, there were developments, and then nothing happened. And there was not a lot of Yennefer and not a lot of Ciri, which I didn't mind. It's not what I was expecting. I was expecting more from them. I mean, Yennefer was what? She was turned into a little jade statue for most of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Sapkowski, I think this book, the whole goal of this book is kind of like you said, it's a middle book. So he's like, you know what? I'm using this book to introduce a bunch of really cool characters. I'm going to fridge Yennefer for most of the book and then pop her out at the end and be like, oh, she's just been frozen this whole time inside of a statue. It's like, that's why I didn't write anything about her. Yeah.
It's like he wanted a new adventuring party.
Yeah.
Because I expected the adventuring party would be like when I read the earlier books, I expected the adventuring party before the end of the last book. I thought it would be, Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri going out and figuring stuff out and exploring her powers, finding a MacGuffin, something like that, right? Taking on the Nilfgaardians. Instead, Ciri's gone and it's back to finding Ciri.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and he also lays in what kind of gives you the background. There's a scene where they talk. They were at the secret sorceresses meeting, the He-Woman Man Haters Club.
Yes, the birth of the Lodge of Sorceresses. I think I brought that up in the previous discussion because I didn't realize it was this book. This is when they get introduced.
Yeah, right. So
I was like, great spoilers. Shit.
But yeah, they talk about the entire history of the Elder Blood, and how it was being cultivated by these sorceresses, but they lost track of it. And it started off by like, at one point they had it with these 3 triplets, and then like one was mad, and the other 2, like the king wanted to get rid of them because he only wanted the pure. And then it was just like, and even it is so weird. Like Sapkowski knew that he was going to confuse people, because in that discussion, one of the sorceresses goes,
I lost.
I can't keep track of this, and I'm like, neither can I.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of interesting. You had this this giant patchwork of magical eugenics going on from the different sorcerers and such. And I don't recall that in that scene. Do they bring up the fact that the elves were behind a lot of that too?
Yeah, because they thought it ended with the one. Oh God, I always forget her name. The elf that like led the army and died there.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern, yeah. Like they thought it ended with her, but like the one sorceress was like, surprise! No, it didn't. Like we.
It almost reminded me of the Bene Gesserit from Dune, right? Except, in Dune they don't give you the whole freaking genealogy. They just say, "Oh, we've been manipulating like the families for 100 generations." They don't tell you who the people were. This is like, oh, let's give you all the names. And I'm like,
yeah. They were like hitting you with all these names. They're like, oh yeah, this one turned mad. This one was a hussy, and like,
and this one I hadn't mentioned before, 2 generations back, also had a child. Like, come on.
Yeah, man. But like the one thing I really did like is we started off. I think the book started off with a whole different character. We were following Milva at the beginning of the book.
Archer?
Yeah.
Have we seen Milva before, or is she new to this book?
I think she was brand new.
Okay. I didn't recognize her, but she's such a big character. I thought maybe I missed stuff, because sometimes I miss stuff.
Yeah, well, and that's why I think like when he started introducing these characters, I'm like, oh, that's where that character's been. Oh, this, because like these are some of the coolest characters. Like we get Zoltan Shive, like where they end up rolling up on Zoltan Shive and his crew of misfits or whatever, which and you got one of the best characters, Field Marshal Windbags, that just cusses at everybody.
And a random diatribe about abortion rights. I'm like,
oh yes, my God. Geralt, the pro-life witcher.
That went on a whole like left turn, like because and also we get another one of the greatest characters, like period, is Regis shows up, the barber surgeon. Like even not knowing him, like you knew something was up with this dude. Like he's just chilling in a cemetery, in between like 2 battlefronts, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just out here collecting stuff, just chilling, and like, you guys want to come in and have some moonshine from a random stranger? Like,
I brewed it myself.
It's not late. The cool thing about it, though, I'll say this: and this is for anyone that wants to actually go above and beyond and like go past the books. Blood and Wine from Witcher 3 is enhanced immensely by reading this book. Getting to learn who Regis is and learn about him.
Yeah, well, and that's what I've always said. I feel like the games are if you want to just say they're fan fiction or whatever, the Witcher 3 is kind of the spiritual sequel to this, but I think it's the most well done. Like they bring in the characters from the books and like treat them pretty well how Sapkowski treated him. But like, what were your guys' thoughts on these new characters that he was bringing in? Because I do feel like that's the main thing for this book, is to bring in some high-level characters for later.
So you get a lot of Melva. Like you said, I'm pretty sure if I recall that the book starts out with her, and so he's really pushing this character at being the bestest archer ever and whatnot. And if she can kind of back up the boast when it comes to archery and such. But you know, you got. She seems interesting. I mean, I can't remember. I'm gonna jump ahead. I can't remember how much more she's in Tower of Swallows. So it's like, it's almost like he's introducing a lot of characters in this book, and they stay in this book.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I said, I'm not sure how. Like, I have more recollections of the final book than I do of the Tower of Swallows, except for I know Ciri is in it a lot more. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we'll be having a handful of these characters follow us, you know, the rest of the way. But Milva's character, like, he really did focus on her a lot. You know, she's. You know, she was like half raised by the elves, and that's why she's, or in Brokilon, you know, that's why she's such a great, you know, archer and stuff. And I really enjoyed a lot of times when you do like talk about specifics, like you kind of lose people. But I feel like he did pretty well when she's talking about bow. She's like looking for a brand new bow and looking for stuff, and she's, you know, telling you about how, oh, I don't need a bow that has 90 pounds because it'll lose flat. And I'm like, normally that'll throw me off, but I'm like that's pretty, you know, he did pretty good. And then like he does a good thing about, like, he tells you that, and then later in the book he kind of shows you like, oh, this is what she was talking about. Like, I loved where they got one of the first battles where they were all like kind of together. They were going in that like that fairy battle where they're like bouncing from in between the two armies, like, we're the good guys. Oh no, get down, they can't hear us, you know. And she, you know, and they're like towards the end of that battle, and some guy has like a huge bow or something, and they're like, get down, Milva. And she goes, he ain't gonna hit shit. You know, like, he's like, look at him, look at his posture. He's got a good bow, but he's scarier than my grandmother. And she's like, she just waits for him to shoot like 3 times and then just nailed him right through the throat. Yeah. I'm like that kind of stuff. That's just good writing right there.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I still don't really get why she followed Geralt, unless she's just trying to say, oh, she can't help but be in love with him. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm so tired of this. Like, well, give me a character who's not in love with Geralt, like a woman who's not hot for Geralt.
Yeah. Well, and I actually thought that too, until, I mean, him and her kind of have a discussion. Now, it still might be, you know, Sapkowski writing that everybody loves The Witcher, but you know, when they had that discussion about, like, you know, don't take the abortion stuff and whatever, you know, but he's like, now he goes, I get it. It's like, you're following me to help me find Ciri because you're pregnant, and you know, you kind of wanted you wanted me to have a child. You know, you want to help me find my child or whatever. I feel like that's what Sapkowski was trying to get in towards the
and like,
it didn't work for me.
The whole pregnancy thing and like, don't, you know, keep the baby, don't abort it and everything. It just comes off as an exercise in narrative futility, because later, not much later on in the book, she ends up having a miscarriage anyway.
Yeah, because I think she got, what'd she get? Did she get shot by an arrow in the final battle, or she got hurt? She got hurt somehow.
They weren't clear on why she lost the baby, just that she was the strain, the stress of it. Because I just read it this morning.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think she got knocked off the horse or something like that.
That would make more sense, considering like you'd need you know, some violence, you know, some force hitting her, you know, roughly in the uterus.
Well, yeah, and I think this whole thing, that, like, from the beginning, they're showing you, like, you didn't know that she was pregnant, you know, and it was just like, she's this total badass archer, whatever. She's been trained by the best archers in the world. She doesn't need anybody. It even shows her hunting on her own, killing stuff, and like, and then she's helping Geralt. She's holding her own against people. Like, they even had like, well, one of the interesting parts is once they all became, and this is probably the best. I mean, in my mind, it's probably the best scene in the whole book, is where they're all finally together. They're all finally together, right? And then this preacher guy is like, that lady is a witch, and all these reasons why they're gonna do something to her or whatever, burn her at the stake or whatever. And then I like how like Zoltan Chive is just over on the side. He's like, you described her, someone's like, she had a cat and her cat's gone. Look, these are cat's bones. And he's like, oh, that's a pretty good description. And he's like, almost as though I can see it. And they're like, what do you mean? He's like, that's a pretty fat cat sitting over there. He must be pretty happy. And then and then Milva ends up like punching like right before that, punched some guy and like not made him half stupid or whatever. And they were wanting blood money from her because she like knocked him out and he hit his head on a rock. Yeah. She's like, he can't even drink water without drooling on himself now.
Knocked him simple.
But yeah, they were using that whole thing to like make her seem really tough. And then the whole thing is about like, proving that she can still hang with him even though she's pregnant or whatever, And it did kind of turn me because I actually thought that she was just going to, pop the Regis whatever thing and just, get on with it. But I think that whole thing was just showing like, oh, I'm super tough. I can hang with the people, but like I'm also a woman and I have womanly needs and I do womanly things too. But,
well, it's like
I would say it is a series-wide theme as well. So he probably put it in there for the thematic elements of it because Yennefer's wants desperately to have a child, can't have one. She ends up becoming the mother for Ciri because Ciri's parents are gone. Gone. And Geralt can't. We're talking about a bunch of people that are sterile. Against their wishes.
Well, they even talked about that, in the sorceress, like, where they were like, we're like almost all of us are sterile, except Ciri, and they're like, we're gonna pick up Ciri and have her, we're gonna betroth her off to some king or whatever, and we're gonna control destiny now.
Well, yeah, that was the Lodge of Sorceresses in a nutshell. They stopped wanting to, be subservient to the kings and queens and basically royalty of these different countries, nations and such. And they're like, well, shit, they're always advising, coming to us for advice and everything anyway. And we have all the power. So why the hell shouldn't we just be in charge?
Yeah. I mean, here, Sapkowski is going the opposite direction of Jim Butcher and the Dresden Files, where it's like, the White Council is like, okay, we're the White Council. We deal out magic justice, but we stay out of politics. We, because there would be too much infighting between us if we did that. Whereas here, he's like, no, we're just going to take over. Like, we can take over. We're just going to take over. Like, we're done. Like Nathan said, like, we're done. Like, being subservient to the kings.
Well, they were also, the sorceresses were also, considered second-class citizens to the damn sorcerers as well. So when that all absolved or dissolved and everything after the last climax and whatnot, and Vilgefort's pissed off to wherever the hell he is and whatnot there. I mean, all the women are like, well, fuck these dudes. They're all gone. We're going to take power, and put it in the rightful hands of the damn sorceresses. And the fact that Philippa is one of the founding members and everything, I think is one of the reasons that they are so militant against it, because she has an eye for power. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and one of my favorite characters actually gets a good bit of time in this is Dijkstra. He pops in and out, throughout the story, and he's one of the best. Like, I don't know why, I just like he's such a slimy dude, but like he's so good in these books. Like, he knows, like he immediately knew that Geralt was in Brokilon. Like, nobody was supposed to know that he was over there. Dijkstra was like, I know his ass is hiding in those woods over there. And one thing Sapkowski does like really well is, like, Geralt went there to get like supernatural healing, right? But his legs still busted up, and like he doesn't let you forget that. Like, anytime Geralt's doing something intensive, there's always a part where like he misses a slash or something, or misses throwing something because of his knee. Whereas writers who just want to kind of get on with things would just be like, he's a witcher, he's you know, he's better. Let's
Healing
not worry
factor.
about
Healing factor. He's got the healing factor.
He's like Wolverine over here. He's all right.
No.
You know,
he lost a hand. It'll come back. He'll be all right. Just walk it off.
But yeah, like, but you know, back to that scene where they were like trying to burn that lady at the stake. I mean, I love that part where they all kind of stood up. They're like, oh, like Milv was like, all right, let's do an archery contest. And Geralt's like, all right, if you want to use swords, we'll go. Yeah. Well, we'll do it this way. And then Regis is like, guys. He clearly said he wants somebody to pick up this like scalding hot thing out, and he just picks it up. He's like, boop. He goes, "Do you want?" And I loved it. I love anytime anyone does this in a book. I just love it. He's like, he picks it up and he goes, "Oh, here, you go ahead and take it. You wanted to do this, right? So let's see if it burns you." And the priest is trying to find any way to like, nah, you're heathens, and you know. But I just love that when you can just throw it back into the face of authority. Like that's the best.
Now, did any of you guys pick up it was the final battle and everything, so I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but while I have it in my mind, did you guys pick up on the life imitating art inside of art going on there, kind of like an Inception style thing going on at the very end of that? All right, so there's a whole thing where Geralt talks about how he picked up the of Rivia title and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so, you know, like life is imitating art because he's actually, you know, it's bullshit. He never went to Rivia or talked to anybody in Rivia. And then they end up in this big battle. It was for a bridge.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's lo and behold, it's with the Rivian kingdom and everything. So he's over there helping them. And in the end, the Queen of Rivia, who got her fucking front teeth knocked out, lisping as shit, you know, she's like, "Hey, yeah, we've heard that you use the of Rivia title and everything. So here, how about I knight you?" And now he's officially
No, she didn't know.
No. She didn't remember that part. I can remember that.
He said, "I'm of nowhere."
Yeah, she didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember if she remembered that part or not, because it's been a while since I said
he was trying to hold back a smile because he's about to wrap up.
Yeah,
but you are now Geralt of Rivia. Like,
that was the best part. They were all before that battle. It was kind of alluded to, like before the battle when they were kind of just like chilling around the campfire.
Yeah,
you know, Geralt's like, it's like, so how is Rivia or whatever? And he goes, "Not from Rivia." And he's like, "Why'd you pick Rivia?"
So a bunch of names on him, and he picked one out of a randomly.
Okay,
that's how he got Rivia.
I could not remember that specific part, but I do remember very, very distinctly the whole. He used it. It was bullshit. He got knighted by her, so it was like life is imitating art there.
Well, I forget what he said his original pick was. His original pick was some ridiculous name, like Geralt, like with like 3 other names tacked onto it. And the guy's like, I don't know if it was Vesemir or one of them's like, that's a terrible name. And then he's just like, pick up something. And he's like, okay, I'll just pick Rivia, I guess. And then, and then he goes on and saves that battle. And then you're like, and they're like, and he's like, "Oh, this is the Queen of Rivia," and he's like, "Oh crap!" And they're like, "Where are you? Where Geralt from where?" He's like, "Nowhere." And then she's like, "Well, let's knight you, Geralt of Rivia." And you're like, they said that thing, you know.
This was a weird book. I really liked it, but really nothing. It was really filler.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just filler, and not much happened. I mean, even Ciri didn't really get very far.
Okay, so it was, I was pretty sure it was Vesemir, but I wasn't 100% sure on who that.
Now, does Regis stay with them in later books?
Yeah, I believe
until he doesn't.
Yeah, well, Regis, Regis always kind of seems a little flighty. I mean, he gets with them. It is so weird. Like, and I guess by the end we know why he kind of acted the way he acted, because he's so powerful. He's not really afraid of anybody. But like he was just like, yeah. And then as soon as Geralt kind of figures out, he's like, "Hey, get away from us. Do not come back." And he's like, "Okay," leaves, and then just reappears randomly, like just reappears. he's just like, oh yeah, like when they got caught up by I don't think it was Nilfgaard that caught them, or was it? I don't know.
They were getting sandwiched in between Nilfgaard and
Redania.
Wasn't
a bunch of different armies, the free companies, like some from Rivia, some from other countries that were like trying to get back against Nilfgaard, all around the river. So it was a bunch of people, and they were all confused, like, why are these people coming from like hundreds of miles away? But they were like remnants of shattered armies that had been like pulled back together and sent in. So they were kind of running. These guys think it was very chaotic, but they didn't really seem to get very far.
Sure, when the Squirrel Tails.
They were.
Oh yeah, and we also I totally forgot. Now I can never remember this guy's name. I feel like maybe he shortens his name in the next book, but the guy that had been following Ciri shows up again.
I just call him the Knight in Black. I don't ever remember
because he has like a 4-person name, a 4-namer again, and I'm just like. And he's like, I am not like the whole book is I'm not Nilfgaardian. Yeah. And they're like, by the end, they're like, we get it, stop.
He's always like, back home in Nilfgaard. And they're like,
yeah.
Fucker, you just keep saying you're not from Nilfgaard. And he's like, well, Nilfgaardians, it's only from the city.
Yeah. Like the Roman thing. You're not really Roman. But
I'm not 100% clear on why he's with them. Does he have a crush on Ciri? What's his problem?
I think he's in love with her.
Okay.
Like, because he had the same dream that Geralt had, right? So there is some kind of weird connection, because Geralt told him, like, they pulled him out of like, he was being transported in a freaking coffin.
Yeah.
And then they pull him out, and he's like, it was so funny, like, Geralt's reaction when they opened the coffin, and it was him. He's like, Jesus Christ. And like, he's like, you again? I can't, I can't get rid of you. And the guy's like,
Geralt doesn't want to be with any of these people. He doesn't want any help. He keeps trying to send them away, and they just keep sticking by him.
Yeah.
It's very shonen. I feel like we're reading a manga.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to all have friends, except in the shonen, it's the main character making everyone else be their friend. Here he's the reluctant teammate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I will never have used that in any of my books. but yeah, like, yeah, he's like told him to leave. The guy ends up like killing a Nilfgaardian soldier and like stealing their horse, and he's like tracking them, and he's like, I finally made it back, guy. Like, they're like, made it back. We didn't want you following us to begin with. And then like he ends up, I think he helped, because didn't they get split up? Like the team got split at one point in one of the attacks. And he helps Milva like survive the attack or whatever. And then Milva's, it's kind of the way it is in a lot of these, like, he's like, all right, you're good with me now, so I'll help you get good with Geralt. And that's kind of, and Geralt's all like doesn't want anything to like. And Sapkowski does this a lot. Like they do a little they did like a scene where everyone's cooking a meal. Like everybody's cooking a meal except for Geralt's like not wanting to have anything to do with it, and they're all like making fun. Everybody's making fun of Geralt. Even the Nilfgaardian guy is like, and I'm just like, bro, you're like he just said he was just gonna kill you like 2 chapters ago, and now you're picking on him because he doesn't want to help cook the fish, But like, I think that's how like Sapkowski like throws in the little bit of. I don't know, a little bit of jokes and levity to keep it from getting too dark.
I think he's trying to pad the book. I feel like like this book really felt like it could have been done a lot shorter. Maybe he just wanted another 300 pages, so a little more money, and
it wasn't really a long book in the first place either. Is this kind of
wise? These are the same as the last one. They're both a little over 330.
Now, speaking of dark, though, what did you guys think about Ciri going all sociopath?
Yeah, I don't remember 15.
15 good deeds. I don't know if I remember seeing that one.
See, that right there is a good example of the problem I have with these books. A lot of stuff will just fall through the cracks for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, like you were saying with like where Ciri's become like, this, I don't want to say she's like an anti-hero kind of out there with the rats.
She has sociopathic tendencies, so she's just killing motherfuckers left and right for just mouthing at her. Oh, that was. I think he's talking. I think they're talking about all the way back in the Last Wish when the short stories. Renfrey was the Snow White stand-in.
Oh yeah, that might have even been the second one, wasn't it?
I can't remember which one.
Sword of Destiny.
But it was definitely one of the short stories.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, I had to think about that for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, she was I don't remember if they talk about this in the short story or not. I think they do, but she was a child of the Dark Moon or something.
Yeah, the
child of Black Moon.
Yeah, the whole thing where like the sorceresses were like cutting them up and stuff. Ooh, that there was a little bit of like link to that in this book where Dykstra and his men are looking for Vilgefortz. Yeah,
and that's his lab, right? He's bringing women to get super babies.
Yeah, they break into one of his laboratories, and they went into some like crazy, like it's a freaking chair that has like an opening in the bottom, and I don't know if he's like
and a pit full of bones.
Yeah, burned up like congealed bones at the bottom of the pit. So he's been like, I don't know. Because they don't tell you exactly what he's doing. Like,
you know what he's doing, though. He's trying to get children of the elder blood.
Yeah.
One way or another. He's like breeding these women. Because they said he took the fetus out. Like, he took the fetus out of her body. So he's clearly and he's done
it multiple times, obviously.
He's running experiments. He's trying to get the elder blood out somehow. I mean, we don't know the details, but he's after his own Ciri. One way.
Yeah, that was, and I was like, dang, man, like, because at the beginning, Vilgefortz just kind of seems like your traditional mustache twirler, nothing, like there wasn't too much to him, but now you're like, this guy is evil.
He's getting darker.
Placenta of Ciri he's trying to get his hands on Ciri, so he can take her elder blood and replicate it. That's what we're going for here. Yeah, I mean, this guy is freaking bad. And then I think right towards the end, we end up meeting with and you only hear him do like a couple words. And I think his part was done for this book. But in my mind, like one of the worst villains of all time is Bonnart, the mercenary at the end of the book, where he's just he talks about a guy thought that he was gonna have to pay him more or something. And he goes, I do this because I love to do it. And I'm just like, oh my, I remember I do remember because he stands out so much. I do remember some of the stuff he does, and I'm just like, this dude is freaking crazy. But I'm what do you think? What do you think is going to be coming ahead here? For the Tower of Swallows, because like we said, it just seems like this is more of we're traveling to get to places and we find out a little bit of stuff, but it's mostly, like you said, filler to pack new characters in for the future books. I mean, what do you think?
Ciri. I mean, otherwise I'm going to get annoyed.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of what else we seen Ciri doing. I mean, I think they alluded to the group killing a few people and then throwing jewels, going through this town and just throwing jewels into the crowd or whatever. They're kind of like Robin Hood, but only they kill people.
like a grimdark Robin Hood.
Yeah, They're like a bunch of grimdark Robin Hoods.
Well, I mean, like I said, Ciri's gotten more and more leaning into sociopathy here because she's just the space elves.
I like that.
Yeah,
yeah. Controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. I mean, that's pretty much. I think that's what we're coming out of this book with is like, okay, we know who all wants Ciri, why they all want Ciri, and then I think that's what we're gonna be seeing going forward. Is
but the sorceresses have two separate things going on, right? Because the sorceresses, in some sense, want to control the Elder Blood and whatever it can do. But in the other sense, Ciri is uniquely positioned to be married off to that other kingdom in the north and balance out Nilfgaard.
Yeah.
But that's a political thing, not just about her like blood powers or her magical powers. Right? So they've got both going on, I think, kind of simultaneously. I don't know who the space elves are.
No, the
wild.
Those are the Anshi.
Yeah, the Wild Hunt. And now I don't think we've really seen the Wild Hunt in this book. They were just a blip in the last book that were coming after her, and like I think they might have said like 2 sentences about like, you know, it's your time to come with us, Ciri. We're coming, you know. So I assume we'll see more of them, you know, in the next book.
Yeah, but they're not in this book at all.
Yeah, the Wild Hunt wasn't in the
daughter, or if M here wants a wife to solidify his control over the South.
Yeah. Well, I think at least so far, that's what it seems like. It seems like what he's trying to do is trying to be like, okay, I have, if I marry her, I have a key to the north. Like I have a rightful, you know, because I get, you know, this is built on back in the day when, you know, royal lineages was everything. Like if you had that, it was, you know, the people just accepted it, you know, back in the, you know, was written back in the 1200s or supposed to be. But
I mean,
you know, so
analogous to it, you know, like because the 1200s didn't really have dragons.
Hey, you don't know that. They didn't have photos back then.
Right.
Cell phone cameras, right? We don't
big ass God, 1200 dragons were the aliens of their generation.
You know, I mean, oh yeah, one thing we got throughout this book was the previous book, they had these little entries of like Encyclopedia Maximundi or whatever for the last book. This book we get Dandelion's half a century of poetry every so often. Like he'll pop in, and I'm like, and my thought was that written in the future and dropped here, or is Dandelion 50 years old now? Because like I know in this we're trying to figure out how old is Dandelion, like does he have some kind of like anti-aging thing, or is he really this old? Or but it's like, yeah, it's always like half a century of poetry.
I always envision him as being older, but I don't know if that's based on anything.
I mean, he's a bard. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That shit keeps you young.
Or not, like, until it doesn't.
Hey, man. All I know is there's a lot of the rock and roll legends are still kicking, man, and they're like damn near 100.
Yeah.
Like Jagger's still alive, isn't he?
Well, I think who is it? What's the? Oh my God! I totally lost his Aerosmith. I think they're doing their final farewell tour, and he's like 70.
The final one. Bring them enough money, they'll do it again.
But yeah, like I mean, just looking at this, and as I said, like I don't remember exactly how the next book goes, so it's going to be kind of new to me too. But just looking at this, I mean, it's going to be interesting because I think Dijkstra is searching for, because Dijkstra was the one who initiated did he initiate the fake Ciri?
I don't know if he was behind that. I know he's looking for Vilgefortz. Like when he found, you know, the little dungeon with the, you know, the fetus extractor chairs and shit. He was one of the few times he was disgusted by something.
The air of most. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much at this point is what I think. Emir's got to be going for here. I mean,
she is a giant Uno reverse card. Just.
Do we know if he knows that she has the elder blood, or does he just see her as the princess of Cirilla?
I would think, because he seems like, I mean, we actually don't get a lot of them, but just the way people make him seem, they make him seem like he's like, Xanatos Gambit, like I got the answers to these questions or whatever. But
we find out more about who put in the fake Ciri. Whether it was we do hear about it, right? They capture this one spy. There's a scene where there's a spy and they torture him with like honey and or an elf.
Oh, yeah. They're like, he's like, I'm gonna pour this on you.
Yeah.
And these fire ants or whatever.
Yeah, the elf is interrogating the spy, and he says that when he went after those two fixers, remember from the last book, the one guy who had all the books, and there was the other guy in the back with like no legs.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who knew about the fake Ciri, that there was this one maid girl in this one village.
Oh, they did it. That's right.
But
that's right. They were the ones that initiated that whole thing. Now,
I don't know. The original, they identified the girl. So they had that, and they offered to Geralt that we can put her forth. People will use her, and then your Ciri will be safe. And he said no.
Yeah.
But then
he's like, no. And they're like, yeah, no.
Like, kicked off the plan. They found the double, but then I'm not clear on who kicked off the plan. It might be that if I read the books again more carefully, I could it's in there who exactly did it, but I missed it.
Yeah, I totally forgot that part. Yeah, the elf was because he was the main guy who was the attacking group. Yeah, and we learned how they infiltrated the enclave. And he's like, yeah, I don't know who, because he was trying to figure out who turned on them or whatever. And he was threatening that guy with like, he goes, I'm going to take this jug of honey and I'm going to pour it over your head. He goes, and then we're going to bury you next to these. And the guy's like, oh my God. And it's so funny because he actually did let the guy go, which I actually didn't think. He like, go and tell people what I said, you freaking piece of scum or whatever. I'm like, man, you let the guy go. I mean, that guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna change my ways. I'll never do it again, sir.
Yeah, the Scoia'tael are just set up just to break your heart. They're dying in droves. They're trying to that you get why they're doing it. Like they're doomed. They know it.
Yeah, and I think we actually learned right at the beginning that somebody is starting to set fires to the forests. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it's Nilfgaard, but yeah, they were like, Milva was like, yeah, we can't go this direction because the forests are on fire.
Yeah.
And, and I love how Geralt was like, they were trying to take a shortcut through like this bog area or something. Geralt's like, yeah. We're not going through there. That's like the last time I went through that section, I ended up laid up for 2 weeks or whatever because some kind of monster is like, yeah, you don't want that smoke. It's like,
yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm just wondering, like, so, Dijkstra is after him, the sorceresses, and then we got, going after Vigilforts. But yeah, I'm just, like I said, I forget exactly how a lot of this starts to converge because I mean, that's what it's all set up for. That's all set up for, like, all of these people to get close, pretty, close at the same time, and like everybody it can all just explode into a big pile of chaos.
What's weird is it's hard. I mean, as someone who has not read the series, it's hard to envision an outcome where Ciri walks away and gets to just chill. Like there's a lot of people after her, and it's hard to imagine wiping them all out because that's a lot of people. And if any of them left, they're just going to keep going after. So it's like, what's the outcome? Like, what's the peaceful resolution for for The Witcher. You know, like it's like if there's one guy going after, like you kill the guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Start a revolution in Nilfgaard and you depose the current regime, and the new regime doesn't need you, whatever. But I'm not, you know, I'm clearly there is an outcome. It's like it's not obvious. It's kind of
it's not, like I said, it's not obvious, and who's going to win, because you have this war, and like this war's got a lot of people think that Ciri is the key to ending the war. You know, so, and they even kind of who was that? Was it Milva that said it? Where she was just like, well, you're going to end up finding Ciri. Like at one point they were trying. At one point when they thought Ciri was in Nilfgaard, that was where they were going to go. Like, Geralt's like, I'm going to sneak in there and I'm going to get her out. And Milva was like, oh, so you're going to sneak up and find Ciri in a castle surrounded by gold pillows and everything she could ever want, and you're going to tell her, hey, let's leave and let's go live on the road in the mud and the rain.
Well, that's when they still thought that the double was Ciri, right? They didn't know the double wasn't really Ciri, so she seemed happily stuck in the palace, you know, eating grapes that someone else did, right? And,
so
what are you gonna do? Oh, come with me, I'll save you from what?
So I mean, and like I made a video about this, I don't know, a week or two ago. It's like, how do you end a long series, you know, with the characters? It's hard to just give them a happily ever after, especially, you know, like we'll take Dresden for example. It's like there's always going to be bad things out there, right? So how do you end the series, you know, if you're not going to kill Harry? Hope, you know, whatever, you know, we don't want to think about that because that's not, you know, good for anyone's heart condition.
Yeah, man,
but,
don't go to the bad place.
Yeah, let's not go to the bad place.
Back in time so he can become Merlin.
Yeah, but you know, it's like in that, it's like, okay, there's always going to be bad things. Well, here it's like, well, what's the outcome? And, you know, Ciri obviously is going to have at some point multiple options. You know, she's going to run into some of these people or someone. You know, so it's like, okay, do I just go sit on the throne? You know, with the White Frost might be the ending for the White Frost might be the ending for Dresden. You know, but it's like, okay, she could just go sit on the throne and like this could be over. Like she could probably end it that way, or at least in the major story that way, by just sitting on the throne and be like, hey, I'm the Queen of Sintra again. You know, my mother and grandmother should have had it. It's me. Nilfgaard's cool with that as long as I'm subservient to them. So now we take, you know, so now it's over. Or she could be like, I'm going to go to the sorceresses, let them marry me off, do it incognito, you know, and still take over eventually, you know, because what's their whole thing? They want to teach her how to use the chaos magic, you know. And then, of course, you could just go, you know, with the Witcher route. But the Witcher route really doesn't end anything, right? It just only makes things worse if she's going to try and just be off on her own with Geralt hunting monsters and bad guys.
She's not, or no one's owed anything from her. She can do whatever she wants, if that's what she wants.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're coming to here. We're coming to, what does Ciri actually want? I think that's gonna be a big.
What she wants doesn't seem like it's very good for everybody else.
Exactly.
Right now, it's looking more and more like a reign of terror.
Yeah, like that's gonna be the crazy thing. It's like, yeah, what she wants to do is gonna get a lot of people killed. You know,
I kind of like riding around and killing people.
Well, see, one of the more interesting things about all of that to me is, like, she seems to be suffering from lots of traumas on her own. Like she doesn't like being touched now, like, which makes you strongly lean towards that she genuinely did get raped in the last book, because that's a common occurrence to people that, you know, have been raped and stuff. They don't want to be touched by anybody. And then, you know, like she's getting more and more disillusioned with the rats.
She got the nightmares.
The nightmares. I mean, you're pushing. I think she's delving and leaning like headfirst into this persona. What was she called? Folka? Yeah. So she's leaning more and more into this persona and everything that isn't her. You know, I mean, in a lot of ways, to protect herself.
Yeah, she's like creating. Yeah, you said she's creating an alter ego to protect her own self. You know, where before she was scared, right? She's scared of the man and the knight in black. She has nightmares. She doesn't want anyone to touch her. You know, she had what happened to her in the last book. You know, and now she's like, well, I'm just going to protect myself with this alter ego of me just killing. I'm the best swords person out here. And even one person says, like, in one of the few instances we do have with the rats, where one of the guys says, like, oh, I see that look in your eyes when we're out. I know what you really like to do, or whatever. Like she's getting into the killing, you know.
I agree with most of that, except I think her dreams at this point aren't trauma. I think they're magical.
Because you think they're trying to lead her? You think they're trying to like lead her, or
the dreams are about like it's like if she's too far from her destiny, which is Gerald.
Yeah,
and she gets these intense dreams about Gerald.
Yeah, she had that dream of him getting ran over by the horse or something.
About being the child of destiny, and about the promise, the child of promise, whatever it is. There's something mystical connecting them. Because she's actually dreaming about where he is. It's not simple as trauma.
He's a child of surprise.
Yeah, him and the knight were dreaming of where she was with the dancing.
But that's got to be a mystical thing, right? They can't just be traumatized and distressed and coming up with these dreams from that. So I think everything else I agree with.
I almost go with the tree.
Yeah. That's the other thing is like, is Ciri going to seek out like training, like teach me how to use this magic? I'm always a little surprised when these characters don't, but she's having fun, so I guess.
well, you also have to take into account that pretty much nobody in the setting knows how to properly train her. Her magic is entirely different than.
Yeah, and she's not going to want to go back to Gogaport and say, "Hey, man, like teach me." Right? She's not going to trust any of those people.
I mean, not only that, but his magic's different than hers as it is. Like he's not going to be able to teach her. He's just going to he can learn a lot from her. You know, letting her burn herself out sort of like her mom did. But like they're not going to be able to let her hone herself the way that. I mean, I don't know of anyone that actually could. Maybe the elves, because the elder blood's tied to them, but that's about all I can think of.
They should know something. But like she's not like pursuing like, oh, I'm going to get some friends together and we're going to go after whoever can teach me how to use this. She's just sort of, I feel like she's just a little bit lost right now.
Yeah, she's just like floating. I think she feels like she's. And again, it's weird to say this, but I feel like she feels that she's safe where she's at right now. She's like, I'm not really running from it. No one's actually coming for me right now that she knows of. She kind of feels like, well, I'm not Ciri. I'm kind of blended into this group, and and she can just kind of hide in the group. And
ironically, there are plenty of people after her as Falco the Rat.
Yes, yeah.
So it's just that it's not the same. And
it's a different chase.
We're young and we're tough and we can take we're smarter than these. A little bit of Dukes of Hazzard going on.
Good old boys.
That's it is Robin Hood and Dukes of Hazzard and with a little more murder.
Yeah, just a tad bit of murder, in between it all. But yeah, it does seem like this book series is like a lot of people like with the Dresden Files. We always kind of say like it just gets worse for Harry. Like they just Jim just finds ways to make Harry's life just worse. But like it does seem like just one thing after another. Like Ciri has yet to really fall into a good position. Like she's just every turn, every decision she makes leads to another bad spot. And like maybe she doesn't think she's in a bad spot now, but like you said, she's wanted as a rat now. People are going after these rats. and I think that's what the whole discussion at the end of the book was. The guy, 'cause I think the guy was talking to Bonar about taking down the rats. Was that
A particular rat. So I think he's hiring Bonnard because he knows that Ciri is Falca is Ciri.
Oh,
I think because he specifically went. I think sent about a particular one of them, not just taking.
Oh, okay.
But can I use her head and also sell it to the other dude? And he's like, "That's fine. I don't care."
Okay, so yeah, at least we got another Dresden fan here. Don't feel too bad. You can't make love to a hurricane, okay?
I watched an interview with Jim Butcher just a few days ago. He was on FanFi Addicts. They did a podcast, a 2-part interview, one about writing and one just a general interview. And he was saying, like, you just have to always keep making things worse for your main character. And I'm like, Jim, you don't.
Please no, Jim.
You can step back, man. It'll be fine. I'm screaming at the screen. I should have talked to him at DragonCon in the bathroom. Give Harry a break, man.
Haven't you heard of cozy fantasy?
Give Harry a break. I'm trying to use the urinal, please.
You're going to see
another con, another restraining order. Here I come.
You would see Joe become one of those memes where it's like, "Let Brittany go."
Oh God!
It's like, let Harry have a good book.
I mean, at the very least, don't make every single thing that happened to him him contemplating suicide. Because I mean, the bad shit that's happening to him, the pretty high tier bad shit. You know, like one thing's enough for one person in a lifetime, and here he is every freaking book getting one of those damn things.
Yeah. I think we're past that part with Harry. I think it's more of like he's about to start wrecking everybody. Like he's. But yeah, man. Like I said, I mean, we can't go too crazy long on this one because, like Joe said, this book seemed like it was more of just like a filler book. Put some cool characters in there for the next one. I want to say the next 2 books are like the 2 longest books in the series. If I'm not, I know Lady of the Lake is pretty dang long.
Yeah, the next one, Tower of Swallows, is a lot longer than this one. I think over 100 pages longer.
Yeah, so I think we'll have, and maybe we can get Bryce back, but I don't know. I guess it's going to depend on everybody's schedules for December. We might push the next one into January. But
yeah, because December's a crazy month.
But yeah, like I feel like the next 2 books are actually pretty dang long.
But there's only 2 left, right? Really?
Yeah. Tower. Because the season of Storms is like a side quest book from the middle. Is it from the middle?
And then the new one coming out is also not part of this story.
I mean, if you guys want to milk these discussions, we can always have somebody transcribe the games into a book form.
We could talk about the story of the games. Yeah, I mean,
talk about the games. I'm just going to bow out of that one. Yeah. I'm not trying to figure out how to play a video game at this stage.
Oh my gosh. 4, yeah. Yeah, 4. See, the next book, Tower of Swallows, it's a longer book, but it's not crazy. It's about 500 pages. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, Lady of the Lake is actually pretty long. Or maybe I'm just getting used to these giant books, and I thought back in the day this was long. Yeah, it's about close to 600 for the last book. So, yeah,
almost twice this book. Okay.
Yeah, but Joe, what is going on with you? I know you're got. Do you have your next book out?
So
you had 2 come out.
4 Hybrid Helix books out. Shadow of Hyperion came out in September.
Yeah.
The first 2, if you act quickly for a few more hours, you can get Wistful Ascending for 99 cents and Return of the Griffin free.
Ooh, nice.
For about the next 7 hours, but just ebook. There's no audio for Return of the Griffin yet. I really need to get on that. That's a goal. Partial Function, my Angry Wuxia Mom is out. This has been out for a bit. I will get audio of this. I do not have a date. It will be several months, but I will have an audio of that. I have a narrator. It's a friend of mine. We just have to work out details, and she has to free up time in her schedule. I am writing a fantasy story, Knuckles and Necromancy, called Grim Dwarf, I'm going to be releasing it one chapter at a time in like a magazine.
I like that.
It's just a digital thing where you just download. It's going to be free. You can follow me on Patreon or subscribe to my. So you don't have to pay. It's not a paid tier on Patreon. You can just follow me, and I'll give you the link every week to a new issue, and it's going to have a chapter of my story, and then it may have other shit, right? So I might get reviews or like other people's stories, but it's going to be free and it's going to be digital only. So, you know, if it's got a bunch of stuff in it, but it might have just my thing. And I'm going to have a letter from the editor, and like it's going to have a cheap cover made in Canva. It's going to be free for you, but I want it to be free for me too. And then if people like it enough, I'll collect those chapters and release them as an ebook with some better editing and a nice cover at some point. Like first 25 chapters as a book, and then like the way manga work. That's my goal. If I get a couple authors, like we'll see. But I'm gonna do this. Whether it works or not, I don't know. But I'm aiming to have the first issue of that out by the end of this year. So in December.
Nice.
First issue of Grim Dwarf magazine. And I have the first 16 chapters written, so it's not like a pipe dream.
No,
I like that. It's an ongoing story, so I'm not like structuring it like a novel. Like it's like he travels around and punches zombies and stuff happens. So and then I'm going to get started on the 5th book of the Hybrid Helix.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm working on book 5 right now. I'm technically book 4 is my collection of short stories. So I'm actually I'm fielding editors because I'm not going to use the same editor for this one. So maybe April, May for the short story collection, and then fingers crossed I can have book 5 out, which is going to be a standalone. I don't want to say what it's about yet. Nathan's alpha reading it for me right now, but hopefully it'll be out in October. But so I'm starting to ramp up the writing too. You know, kind of had my off season here trying to do a lot of booktube stuff, but now it's time to crack down a little bit. But appreciate you guys for jumping on here. Yes, my wife does need to she went all the way through The Witcher and refused to finish the book because she doesn't want it to end. Yes, she needs to finish The Witcher, as I keep saying for the last 5 years. But thank you all for jumping on the live stream, and we will see you